Hi there, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, where we can relax and we can craft together. And I'm here for about an hour and we work on a project from beginning to end. And today I am going to be working on my Splendid Sampler Quilt. You know, the Splendid Sampler, the quilt that I started about a little over 2 years ago now. I am still not done with it. And on Friday, it was Finish It Friday, where we take a project that we haven't worked on for a while and we drop our other projects and get it out and work on it. And I brought the Splendid Sampler back out. And all I have to do is finish quilting the borders, and I'm just doing long straight line quilting with big 3-inch gaps in between to get this thing done, and I couldn't put it away again. So I'm going to work on this until we get it done here. I think it'll just maybe take a week and a couple days maybe, but we're getting this quilt done. 2 years is long enough for this, and we're just close. So we're gonna work on it tonight, and that's the deal. So thanks for joining me. After we get done with the Splendid Sampler Quilt, we're gonna go back to the Charming Chevrons quilt. So last night we sandwiched the Charming Chevrons quilt together. So we're ready to start quilting that as well. So I thought I'd get this Splendid Sampler done, and then we'll get back to that. Oh, that's okay. We'll hang out with you. We want to see it finished also. Thanks, Deborah. And then back here, you can see I've cleared the area. So we're gonna get the little hedgie hanging up behind me here. So that project is sitting there ready to go as well. So I'm in finish all the things mode for sure. And that includes the Splendid Sampler today. So I'm going to flip you guys around and we'll get going. And thanks again for joining me here. Alrighty. Oh, Barbara, you received your embroidery bundle today. Yay! Okay, good. That's good to hear that you guys are getting my new embroidery kits in the mail. Yeah, if you haven't gotten them yet, they will happen in the next couple days. Oh, hey, Kylie, thanks for joining. All right. Flipping you guys around, let's get sewing. Alrighty, here we go. Okay, here is, we're gonna get real high to start out here. So here is my Splendid Sampler Quilt. There's some of the little dudes peeking out here. So what we are doing, I think you guys can maybe kind of see, this is what we did on Friday. We sewed straight lines, and that's all I'm gonna sew for the border here. So I have, it's basically 4, it looks like 3, 1, 2, 3, but I'm also sewing in the ditch here. So starting at the top, all the way at the top, we're gonna sew 4 lines on all the borders. So it's a line and then 3 inches, a line, 3 inches, a line, and 3 inches. And I'm using a little guide on my sewing machine to do that. I don't know how accurate that is. I think it would have been a little bit better if I drew these out, but I'm in get it done mode, and that's fine. So this line here, though, on Friday, something caught or something happened, but we noticed that my stitching was getting a little weird. So here you can see some of the loop. It's just like the bobbin wasn't catching right, and we heard a kind of a funny noise. So that I'm going to take out, and we're going to redo that first. And now I think it was good. Yeah, here's where it stopped. So look, it looks like a little piece of thread got caught underneath or something maybe, and then just started yanking things. So I'm going to, let's flip it around to this side. I'm going to seam rip from here all the way to the top. So it's just I don't know, like 3 feet or so. And we're going to just do that seam again. So this is going to be a little annoying to seam rip though, because usually with a seam ripper you can just get one little seam going. When you say stitch in the ditch, do you mean directly on the seams or 1/4 inch next to the seam? I am going directly on the seams, Gretchen. So I'm going like right on the seam. Sometimes I'm just like a hair to the left or right of it, but I'm shooting for right on the seam. So that's kind of where the term stitch in the ditch. So like a seam is kind of like a ditch where the two fabrics come together. There's sometimes like a little indent, which I'm guessing that's the ditch terminology. So yeah, so for the charming chevrons, I am planning to stitch in the ditch along the little zigzags. I may add an additional little 1/4 inch on there just for decorative purposes. Tracy, I am ripping out a little bit of border that I did on Friday, border quilting, and this is going to take ages, so this is annoying, because it caught really goofy on the back. So I need to just redo a little bit of a line here. So see the tension's just totally off. So I'm afraid it's just gonna come apart there. I think my machine got caught on some thread or something. So I'm just taking out a little bit, and that's the plan. So wouldn't stitch in the ditch break the thread in the seams? Well, that is the debate. So you know, we were talking about all throughout the Charming Chevrons quilt, like what's better, to press your seams open or to press them to one side. And Krista Watson, who is the designer of the Charming Chevrons quilt, she says that by pressing the seams open and then stitching in the ditch, like directly on the seams, she says that strengthens the seam because you're like stitching those seams down a little bit more. I don't know. The debate goes both ways. You know, I'm not making yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I've heard both ways that you want to stitch right next to the ditch or stitch right in it. And I have no scientific proof of either direction, so I'm not positive. Oh, where did we leave off on the Charming Chevrons? Kathy, I sandwiched it together last night. So last night we were in my living room on the floor again, and I layered the 3 layers: the back of the quilt, the middle layer of batting, and the front of the quilt, and we basted it together with my safety pins. So that is that's where we're at. So we are ready to start quilting. Start quilting the Charming Chevrons quilt. And I'm going to start by stitching in the ditch on the zigzags. So that's the plan for that. And that's why, you know, this whole space is going to be taken over by quilting that. And, you know, I already had this out from our Finish It Friday, the Splendid Sampler Quilt here. And I'm like, oh man, I just can't. It's like stressing me out, the idea of putting this back in a bin and having it sit in a bin for another 6 months, you know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? We have barely anything left on this guy. We're going to finish this guy first. And then I can reset up this whole area, for the Charming Chevrons. Did I improv the back of this Splendid Sampler Quilt? I sure did, and I can show you a little peek of that. I read that improv piecing book. Oh, what was it again? Oh, the Improv Handbook for Modern Quilters by Sherry Lynn Wood. And ever since I read that, I have totally fallen in love with the idea of improv piecing. And by improv piecing, what I mean is just sewing pieces of fabric together, and if the fabric is too short, because compared to the piece you want to sew it to, then you sew a different piece on it to make it a little longer first. And it's just a whole pile of random stitching, and I just think it looks like abstract art. So and it's freeing. You don't have to think as much. You don't have to have perfect seams. Man, I can't get in here. Oh, that's because we did really short stitches here. I suppose I can leave those. But anyway, so ever since I read that book, I have been like all about the improv piecing. Oh, you too, Gretchen, you save every little bit of fabric. I do too. So my mom even, she gave me a bunch of teeny tiny scraps that were really, you know, garbage, really. But even those I've been starting to sew together. All right, I'm done with the seam ripper here. Let's see what we got. I think these are just other tails happening. Yeah. Okay, so we are good to go. Let me just check the back. Oh yeah, so here's some of the improv piecing we did on the back. I improved piece. Oh my God, this is kind of funny. But I improved piece everyone's names and from that label and the thing. But look, I quilted along this line, and look, it's like exactly. It's exactly underlining my block. That's kind of funny for weird. That was unplanned, clearly. But yeah, so, you know, teeny little improv pieces within this whole back area. Oh, here's the other half of the names. But yeah, so the back is all improv piece. So, all right, I'm gonna just stitch right on top of my old stitches here until I reach, where is it? About right here. And then we'll be done with this side. That's all that's left on this side of the border here. So, all right, I'm gonna scoot you guys down to the machine. And we will start sewing for the evening. All right, right on the seam. So here I have my little guide. This is my 3-inch marker guide, so we can still use that as our little help here. But let's get started on this again. I'm going to start with some small stitches, a little bit bigger. All right, and now normal stitching. I am going to get my little grippets out, and we'll be good to go. Gretchen, I do have my binding done. Oop. I do have the binding done for the Splendid Sampler. I mean, I don't have it attached, obviously, yet, but it is made, so that's good. So I don't have to do that again. I'm gonna just get that out of the way a little bit. But yeah, so I don't have to measure and make that whole binding, which is making me happy. I don't want to measure and do all that again. Oh, here we go. I'm stuck on the table here. Dealing with the bulk again. Trying to get a handle on that world again here. Yeah, I'm loving these grippets. I think they may, well, if they're not on sale at Mass Drop right now, I'm pretty sure they will be there again sooner than later. So keep your eyes out for the grippets on Mass Drop. I am using them instead of the gloves. I have, like, gloves never ever fit me. And, you know, it's going to be summer here, too, so that's going to be super annoying. These grippets have little rubber grippers on the bottom, and they have little nubbins on the top, so I can just kind of push on the nubbin. I can lift my hands up and, you know, I can grab my seam ripper or scissors without having gloves on. And you can actually also use these for ruler work. So I got a straight edge here and the curved edge. But right now I'm just using it to hold my fabric flat and move it around. But so far I'm just loving them. Ooh, and we're getting there. There's my point where it was okay again. We'll stitch over that line a hair and then I'll back tack. All right, good enough. That'll do. So that is one side of the quilt, one border. Put a little notch in there, but oh well. Okay, let's snip. All right. Now, in theory, ideally, I would have brought this back to the floor and rolled this up again. But I'm going to just try and rotate it and see how we do. So it's rolled up on this side here. Let's see how we do. Oh, so the other thing is this side doesn't have a seam on it, so I may have to draw. I'm going to get you guys a little taller here again. So I want to start the next row here. But our last row had a seam there, so I could just follow the seam. This one does not have a seam, so I'm going to take just like a chalk pencil and if I can find the chalk pencil, and just draw a line up from here so I can use it as a guide. So let's get a ruler going here, and I don't need it to be perfect. Wow, my 3 inches are kind of off here. I might have to measure my 3 inches again, or just go with however it ends up being. So, all right, I want to draw right there. You know what? I don't have a, I don't think I can reach my chalk pencil, but look, I can just score it here. So if my pencil, this is just plastic. I don't have any lead out here. I'm going to just run it along the edge here of my ruler. We'll do it again this way. Yep, there you go. So you can see, maybe you guys can see, but I've kind of just put a little crease in there. I'm just going to follow that crease now. So I will sew along that crease and then along this bottom edge. And you know what? I probably need a crease at the bottom too. Oh, that's going to be harder to get to, but let's give it a go. I'm going to have to unwrap to get to that crease. There's more improv piecing on the back here. Okay, all the way down here. I was going to put a chair on the other side to catch the quilt, but oh well, too late now. All right, need a crease over here too. So I'm just going to line up that edge kind of best I can. We'll get close. I think that looks as good as it's going to be. And we'll put a crease here too that we can follow. Yep, I think that'll be good enough. Hopefully I'm not too crooked. It will be fine. It will be what it's going to be. So let's, oh my gosh, it's heavy. There we go. Let's scooch all this back. So this is a queen size quilt, which is pretty hefty. So I have a TV stand next to me. So it makes like the table and then the TV stand. So I have this kind of L shape thing going here, which is helping me out a little bit. All right, let's get back down here and see if we can sew this massive deal here. All right, Grippets, I need you. So I'm gonna just crisscross on top of the lines that are going this other direction because I think that's gonna just be pretty. That's kind of the look we're going for here. Get this all going again. Oh, and I unthreaded my machine when I was messing around here. So let's thread it again. This batting is bamboo batting that my mom and I bought a roll of it at a show once and we've been using it up. But I think next time, we're almost out of it, and I think next time I'm gonna get some of that Nature's Way cotton as a big roll, and then we can share that. The bamboo is cool because it's, you know, like an more eco-friendly sort of thing, and there's no chemicals or anything on it, but it beards a little bit. So have you guys heard that term before? Bearding, although this doesn't feel like, this might not be bamboo. This doesn't feel like the bamboo. I might have just had this. Yeah, I don't think this is the bamboo. This is, oh, what would it be? Oh, I can't remember. But no, this is not the bamboo one. So I must have opened up a batting that I just had laying around. So no, but typically I use the bamboo, and that beards. And what bearding is when, like, if you have a dark fabric and you've quilted it and everything, and then you have like little tufts coming through, you know, like little tufts of little pieces of fuzz coming through your quilt. That is called bearding. And certain battings do it a little bit more than others. And this bamboo batting, not this, but because this isn't my bamboo batting, but the bamboo batting bearded. So I don't think we'll get the bamboo again, even though it draped so nice. Like, it felt good to use it. It was just really flowy. So that's kind of why we originally purchased it. We just thought it'd be really nice and light. But then it just bearded too much. So I think we might go with, yep, like little whiskers. Yeah, exactly. So I think we might go with just the 100% cotton, unbleached cotton next time. We'll see. We still have some of the bamboo stuff left, but, you know, we kind of just use it for everything. But I think we're gonna change it up. But yeah, no, what I'm using here, this is not the bamboo. This is I had it in a bag, like a queen-sized one in a bag, and I'm like, ooh, I'll finish up this oh, I forget what it's called, like heirloom something or another. But no, I think this is a polyester blend of some sort that I've had for like probably over a decade. Yep, it's a, oh no, it's not, it doesn't make the quilt poofy, the bearding. It's when actual flecks of batting are coming through to the front, almost like they're oozing to the front, like you don't know how they got there, and when you pull on it, you can't pull them out, like it's just always going to be there. I think it might go away after a couple washings, the bearding, but it's pretty frustrating when you have it bearding. It's like this fuzz that you can't get rid of. So it doesn't have anything to do with how poofy, like how raised or anything that it makes the different areas of your quilt. It is just literally all these little this fuzz that just like bleeds out of the quilt, out of just the fibers of the fabric. Shave it, yeah. It seems like that's totally what it wants to have done with it, is it being shaved. And it always sucks because it always happens when you're quilting something really dark, and then all those fuzzles come through. And anyway, the bamboo batting was awesome except for that. It had some bearding with it. But it feels so pretty, and I like it. But you know, I think I'm gonna really like the Nature's Way unbleached 100% cotton fabric or batting that I'm using for the Splendid Sampler, or not the Splendid Sampler, the Charming Chevrons quilt. I think I'm going to really like that. So I'm kind of testing it with the Charming Chevrons, and if I like it, then I might order a giant roll of it, just to have it as my go-to batting. Yeah, so the warm and natural, that's what I might end up buying a bigger thing of. I know, isn't it fun to see some of these old blocks again? So right here, this is, we did this on the Charming Chevrons quilt too. This is where I just had a bunch of scraps and used the Sulky Stick and Stitch. It was Fabri-Selvi, Sulky's Fabri-Selvi at the time, to kind of stitch all the old little pieces down. So we did some of that in this quilt too. But yeah, isn't it fun to see some of these little guys we haven't seen them in like 2 years, right? Getting it done. This one here, I think this was block number 2, so I think this might have been, or like at least within the first 10 blocks. I used some sparkly thread on it for the little butterflies. That's cute. I've definitely improved my measuring since then. Like, look how small. I mean, these squares on the side are supposed to be as big as these squares, but I made the block too big, so I had to trim it down. A lot of clipped wings in there too. So I think I've gotten better since then. A little bit better. Yeah, so exactly, Kathy, that's the question. Where do I store a big thing of batting? My mom has the big batting at her house, so I've just been going there whenever I need to quilt, get some batting to quilt something, except for this one I had in the basement, and I bought that Warm and Natural to test it out. But yeah, she has a nice big, like, farm table, and the batting is underneath, like on the shelf underneath that kind of cool farm table. All right, well, we're approaching the bottom of this, so this will be row 1. I don't know if we'll get all of these rows done tonight, like we did on Friday, just because I had to pick out that one seam tonight. So we'll probably get, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 more of these done, these rows, and then pick it up again tomorrow. You're setting up your sewing room and found your Splendid Sampler book! Nice, Robin! Oh, that you thought you ruined! Oh, I'm glad you found it. Now to see if you can make some of it. Oh, that's so funny. Yep, that's... Ooh, shoot, I'm catching the thread on there. That's kind of the phase I am at with my little sewing, studio office space. I'm going through old stuff like that too, or just cleaning up and kind of discovering random things here and there. Well, that's good. Yay! I'm glad you found that one of life's mysteries solved. Right? Okay, here we are to the end of here, and I can see that little dent that we kind of drew in there. And we're just going to go right on top of that. Trying to keep everything feeling straight here. All right, and I'm going to just shrink my stitches again as I approach the edge here. I could just back tack, but I read this idea of just making your stitches really small, so I've been kind of just trying that. All right, that is row number 1. I have a hunch that we might need more bobbin thread soon, but let's pretend that's not the case. All right, scooch all this back. Oh yeah, that little thread, or that spool of thread one is cute. I could have poached some pins from these two. I don't need all these pins within the block anymore. I just haven't taken them off yet. Okay, next row. So now we're going to need our little guide here. So I have this kind of measured at 3 inches from the needle. That's what I've been going on for this. And I think though when we measured it was a little less than 3 inches, but I'm just going to keep it the same as what we did on the other side. So I'm just lining it up with the row that I already stitched. And I'm just going to use that as a guide. I'm not sure that's probably the best way. Like, I think to be more accurate, I probably should have drawn lines on here. Then I can make sure that they were all straight and then they were all equidistant. Like, if I have a weird bump out here and I follow it with here, then I'm going to just have bump outs on all of the lines. So I don't think this was that smart, actually, just using the guide. But I haven't done it before, and I thought I'd give it a try, and now I'm kind of seeing, maybe that's not the best idea. But I didn't want to bring this whole thing out and bring it to the floor and draw on it either. So we're doing what I am able to do to get the job done right now, which is totally fine. So now I'm gonna basically keep my eye on on this right here, and let it go along my seam that I did before. I'm barely going to be watching this, probably only to take the pins out. Like, I'll take this pin out right now, so I don't accidentally sew over a pin. Oh, and it looks like I missed a pin over here too, from the row that we already did. But here, now we're going to start to see some of this crisscross happening. There, see, I'm just kind of staying, watching that over here. And I'm kind of going from the inside out, so I have less and less bulk going underneath my machine here. I don't want to add bulk there because it's going to just get tighter and tighter in here. So I've started more on the inside and I'm working my way out. And I have a guide by having, you know, I'm on the borders, so I have this long row here, as long seam as a good starting point guide. Another reason why I'm working from that line outwards. All right, like right here. Get rid of this. Oh yeah, Nolene, so sometimes these don't come with any stopper. So it is in, I can show you, it is in, if you have a walking foot, you can stick it in the little hole on the back of your walking foot. And it actually goes both ways. Typically, I think it should be on the other side, and then you have it like this, and this kind of soft side, this bent side runs across your thing. But I wanted it to sew from the outside in, so I've just flipped it this way. And sometimes they don't come with a stopper, so a lot of people just put some washi tape there. This is like a weird vintage one. It had a little thing that it looks like it's supposed to actually hook into the side here, but I'm not sure the vintage one knew about walking feet like this back then, so I'm just kind of improvising it. But yeah, you can stick it in and then just put some tape around it to hold it in its place. I have not quilted the blocks on these. All I've done is basically stitching in the ditch. So all I did was frame each block. I can show you once we get a little further here. I framed each block just around the block. So each block is only 6 inches big in the quilt here. So I've just sewn around it. I'm doing the total bare minimum of quilting on this. See, so I've only sewn around. I haven't done any decorative stuff in here. And that's what I'm hoping to get better at with the Charming Chevron. So I feel more confident going into quilts and, like, you know, playing around with stitches, or, you know, even I could put flowers in here or something, you know. I've done none of that. So this is, I'm letting this be a simple quilting job and making it not about the quilting. Whereas the Charming Chevrons is going to be the opposite of that. That one we're going to That one we're gonna quilt a whole ton, so I can learn how to free motion quilt, you know. And then after that, I'm hoping we can go back to the I Love Home quilt, which we don't have done either. And on that one, we can play with a little bit more decorative stitching. So eventually here, we will finish up that quilt as well. But one thing at a time. There are plenty of Finish It Fridays to come to work on stuff. All right, we're coming up to another one of these pins. Let's get that. Oh, thanks, Robin. Yeah, I really like the colors of this quilt. So I've been like doing these really saturated quilts lately, I suppose. This one, you know, the Charming Chevrons is all that kind of red and purple and really kind of juicy saturated colors. This is kind of the same deal, but more with blues, like these saturated blues and these dark blues and blacks and greens. So I don't know. Although my my I Love Home quilt, that's less juicy, I suppose. Do I have one color in every block you did? I didn't have a fabric that was consistent with each block, but I did pick the fabrics beforehand. So I started with a limited palette, you could call it. So from the beginning, I picked the palette for these blues with like a Tisha green and some of these darker colors. So I could proportion out the colors. So when I picked the fabrics, I had mostly blues and then maybe one or two or three different colors in there. So I could tell kind of based on that how the quilt was going to turn out to some extent as far as color and proportions of color. You know, how much blue to green on how I picked. And then after that, then I just decided each block, when the block came in, then I decided what I wanted to do. But all I had to choose from were those fabrics that I already had, that I had picked out. I didn't pick from every fabric that exists, right? So that helped me pick fabrics because I could limit. Gretchen, they gave a guide at the beginning of the Splendid Sampler. There was a guide of how much fabric to start with, and it was something like 25 to 30 fat quarters, something like that. All that information is on thesplendidsampler.com. I think you might have to dig a little on there, but there's probably like a little getting started area or facts page. So we were told, and it's probably in the book as well. I'm not positive, but I'm guessing it's in the Splendid Sampler book. But yeah, so we had a guide for that too. Like, make sure to pick about this much fabric. So that was so helpful for me. It took me a long time, like it took me a while, like a good while to go through my fabrics and commit to, my 30 fat quarters. And I think mine weren't all fat quarters. I think some were fat eighths, so I just kind of grabbed stuff. But it took me a while to commit to that. And then after that, then I only picked from those. You, Jennifer, used about 1,000 different fabrics in yours, maybe more. So that's how my mom did hers. So my mom worked on this project too. She had in her head that, okay, I want to kind of green, like some pretty greens is going to be my kind of goal. And then she had some kind of like some ochres and a little bit of brown and a little bit of orangey colors. But she had a picture in her head of kind of the general color rule. So she had some general color rules, but then she went scrappy from there, Jennifer, like you did. So she had this idea of green in her head, and then she just grabbed scraps, and every block, I think every block she tried to use a little bit of fabric from that she already used, so she knew some fabrics would cross over, but then she kept adding from scraps. So hers, oops, I almost ran this over. Hers has a lot more fabric, different fabrics in it than mine, and it looks fabulous. So you can, whether you go like a ton of fabrics or super limited fabrics, I know from looking at the Facebook page, like there's some person that chose like, I don't know, 2 or 3 colors of red, and that was it. So she had a really super duper limited palette, you know, and they all look different and they all look fabulous. So whatever direction you decide to go in, you're gonna be okay. For me, it was helpful to choose my fabric beforehand and only choose from that pool. That made choosing fabric during the blocks, during sewing the blocks, so much easier for me because I didn't have to make big decisions. I only had to make small decisions on fabric at that point, and that's all my brain could handle, you know? Your theme was cats. Yes, it's so awesome, Jennifer. I love that idea. It looks like for the Splendid Sampler 2 on the cover of the book, there was a cat one. So I couldn't believe that no one did a cat block for the first Splendid Sampler. You know, out of all these quilter designers, no one did a cat block. So they got one in the Splendid Sampler 2, it looks like. Oh, I forgot to take both those pins out. They weren't in the way for my needle now. But now I'm really using this guide to go along this edge because I don't have my seam to go on anymore. All right. Almost done with this row here. I'm going to just shorten the stitch length again. All right, donezo. Oh, I thought I didn't have any thread on the needle, but it just blended in with the background, so that's good. It was invisible for a second there. Okay. Now we gotta crawl this thing back up again. I think we'll try and do one more row here tonight, and then we'll pick up the last row tomorrow. Man, I don't know what I would do right here without this TV tray next to me, so thank you again for that suggestion. I am totally loading the bulk of this on the tray, and I'll even show you guys. So here we are. Let's see if I can get even back farther. So here that's the chair that I'm sitting on. So my table ends here, and underneath all of this is the TV tray. So the entire bulk of the quilt is laying on the TV tray. If it wasn't for that, this would all be in my lap and on the floor, and it would just be falling everywhere. So that's working super duper great. Way better than I thought. How come the screen is so very big? Oh, Jennifer, did you rotate? All I can think of is that maybe you rotated your phone so it fills the phone screen. You're going to sort your blocks by predominant color and then, ooh, sash and quadrants. Oh, that's a good idea, Jenna. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just trying to get this phone back in place here. It might be a little crooked. All right, there we go. All right, we're in business. Scooching up. All right, next row. Yeah, we have, we'll do this row, and then I think we have one more here. Oh, it's on the computer? Oh, I'm not sure how the Facebook Lives, maybe they did an update so that they're bigger on the computer. Or did you go to, maybe there's a full screen mode? I'm not positive. All right, so again, I'm lining this up with the seam I just did as best I can. I think I'm just not situated here. Oop. Okay. we're going about right there. Okay. Normal stitch length now, and get these guys out. I can really tell a difference when I don't have these. It's just moving along. Oh, it's just different. I don't know. I'm not sure, Jennifer. Facebook most likely probably just did an update or something. Oh, good. Yes, there's, oh, full screen mode now, so, huh. I don't know. They're always doing those updates, so you just never know what's going to happen. But here, now you can start seeing some of this grid where the corners are crossing, the corner lines. Oh gosh, yes, yeah. So I'm really excited for the grippets when it's going to come to the free motion, like where we actually have to move the fabric in all sorts of directions, not just forward. But yeah, this is definitely, Nolene, it's definitely taking pressure off my wrist, because I'm not, you know, with here I would have to really press down and move and my hands would be sliding. Here I'm just barely, very lightly, you know, my hands are just resting on here. I'm barely doing anything. Okay, let's see. So again, my eyeballs are kind of more on this guy than my needle here. Just trying to keep her straight. Ooh, I feel like I'm bunching up underneath here. I don't want to accidentally sew the edge. Oh, look, here's, we put a little kitty in the middle of this flower here. So we snuck a few kitty cats in this quilt too. All right, just trying to straighten out here again. Oh, your comments are on the side now, and they're usually on the bottom. Oh, for funny, Jennifer. Don't know. They changed things up again. Yeah, I think we can go a little faster than what we are. I don't want to jinx it though by going too quickly. Scooching along. My line's a little wiggly over here, so I'm just trying to guide it as best I can. Keep this as straight as we can. But again, I'm more excited about getting it done. No, this is not quilting in the ditch right now. This is just straight line stitching is what I would call this. So we're just stitching a bunch of straight lines. A lot of times for straight line stitching, you'll stitch away closer to each other. I'm doing mine 3 inches apart. Right here is where I stitched in the ditch. So where these two colors came together, there's a seam, and stitching within that seam, stitching within a seam like that is called stitching in the ditch. Here I'm doing straight line stitching, just doing straight lines next to each other. Because two seams coming together kind of form a little ditch, right? So that's what the stitch in the ditch is. So these are grippets. They are from Sewing Mates. Oh, here you can see better. Sewing Mates. So if you just go to sewingmates.com, she'll have an area. It's they're by Barbara Greer. She sometimes pops in here, and she just gave me instructions on cleaning them as well. So I'll show you guys that in a little bit. She also makes my my table here, my adjustable table. So this sewing table. Extension table can be sized for any sewing machine, different heights, and you can move all the little parts around and tighten them again. So she makes that, and these grippets. So sewingmates.com. They also do occasionally sell them on Massdrop. So massdrop.com, they might be there, or they were a little while ago. But if you get it on Massdrop, then it can sometimes be a little cheaper because they're a site that has like deals on stuff. And I'm sure they'll be there again because I think they're pretty popular on Massdrop. But I'll throw a link for sure in the YouTube version of this live show when I get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. I will make sure to get a Massdrop link in there. Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they send to Australia. I don't know why they wouldn't. I would just check. I would just go to sewingmates.com and check it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm not affiliated with them or anything. I just really like them so far. I like using their stuffs. But yeah, I mean, I originally found them because I was looking for an extension table so I could do more quilting like this. But I wanted something adjustable because I wanted to use it on my old Kenmore, and I didn't want something made custom for this older machine. And you know, who knows if I ever get a new machine or want to switch to something else for quilting. I wanted flexibility, and there was really nothing out there. Theirs was the Sewing Mates was the only thing I could find, and it was just great. And then I saw these grippets at the same time. I'm like, well, dang, I'm getting this for quilting, and this would allow me not to have to wear those gloves. So I got these as well at the same time, and I'm super happy with both items. You always wonder what those long metal things were for. Oh, yep, the long, they're like, I don't know exactly what they're called. Width guides, maybe? I don't know, some sort of guide. I'm sure guide is probably in the title. But yeah, they can go on the other side too. Yes, the clear is good. It goes with everything. Yeah, exactly. And I love that I can use the extension table with any machine. I mean, you can see all the little screws and everything in it. So I mean, if you want just like a really clean aesthetic, maybe it's not right. Maybe you want something custom. But I'll show you it in a sec because we're almost done with this row. You can see all the little bits that you can adjust. My mom just popped in. But yeah, so it really can be adjusted for any sewing machine, and I think that's awesome. Then you're not stuck with an extension table that you can only use on like one machine. You know, I'm sure most people have like one machine, right? But, you know, I don't know, my machines they're accumulating. So I'm accumulating vintage machines, and who knows, I might want to quilt on one of those sometime. So I want to adjust the table for that. All right, we're coming to the end of this again. I'm just going to shorten the stitch length up again. And there we go. Oh, you got 5. Yep, see, that's what I'm saying, Nolene. They accumulate those dang sewing machines, right? Yep, I got the Splendid Sampler out again. I couldn't put it away. I got it out, the Splendid Sampler, on Friday for Finish It Friday, the first Friday of the month. We do a project that we haven't worked on in a while, and I brought this out, and I couldn't bear to put it back in the machine here, or in my bin. So I just kind of want to show you what we did here quick, and then I'll show you the table. But yeah, so we stitched in the ditch right here. Stitching in the ditch, again, that's when you stitch in where 2 seams meet. And stitching in the ditch is a way to hide quilting too, right? If you get it right in the ditch, it just looks like part of the seam. So if you want to hide some quilting, or if you did some swirly stuff here, and then you want to jump to here, if you just stitch in the ditch for a little and then jump over to there, then it's kind of like a way to hide quilting. You were told that the average quilt sew person has 5 machines. Oh, that's interesting. That's so interesting. They just happen. The machines just happen. I don't know how it worked. But yeah, and then right here you can see is where we're starting to crisscross. But yeah, so tomorrow we just have one more row here. I don't know if you guys can see that crisscross. There we go. In the light you can see it a little bit more. So we'll have like these little corners of crisscross, and then the rest will be just straight lines. So one more line here, and then we'll rotate again, and we are halfway done with the border after we get that done, which is awesome. And then I can trim this, and we can sew on the binding. Oh my God, I'm so happy that we're close to that point here. But let me show you this. Oh, the light is reflecting a little bit here. That's the one thing, I'm sewing these in front of big lights for these Facebook Lives, and they reflect. But so here you can see the table a little bit more. So you can adjust all these parts back and forth. So the table exactly fits your sewing machine. Here we go. I can shimmy these. They just have like little wing nuts underneath. And the feet I can make to whatever height I want as well. So, and then, I can just slide it in and out. So yeah, this weird machine here where it just, for it to be flat, I have to take the base off. I can just fit it right around there. It's just the right height. I got the 18-inch one, and they also have one that's a little bit smaller and a little bit bigger. So I got the medium one just because I have pretty limited space here, so I was nervous about getting the larger one. This one has been working super great. So this is the same place. This is called the Sew Adjustable, like Sew, S-E-W, adjust table, like adjustable table. So the Sew Adjustable. Mine's the 18 inches, and then these grippets. They're both from Sewing Mates, and I'll put the links in here again, and I'll put links to Massdrop too, because a lot of times these are sold on Massdrop. But yeah, so there we are, and yeah, so tomorrow again we'll just scooch on this guy a little bit more. Gonna get it done. All right, I'm going to flip you guys around, and we will call it an evening here. All right, so hello. How do you clean the table? So yours gets foggy. Window cleaner is not recommended. So Barbara, who her and her husband make these, they're the owners of Sewing Mates. She just sent me information on what to clean it with. I will look over that again and let you guys know tomorrow. She actually, I don't know if she's on here right now, but she actually sent me a little bottle of it, but the post office took it out. So I don't know, maybe it was like a shipping liquids thing, but the package was open when it came, but her letter that said what it was, everything was in there yet. So I might just go buy some of it, but I will let you know, what she recommends for it tomorrow. I will get that out to clean the table and to clean the grippets and have them last longer and everything. So, okay. I will get this up on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. I hope you follow me there. That's probably the best place if you want to watch this next day or rewind and all that. But it will stay here on Facebook as well. So awesome, guys, and so 8:30 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. Eventually, here I'll get the little dude up hanging behind me here. I cleared off the wall at least. That was step number 1. But anyway, have a great evening, guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night.